I'm recording, admitting, so we're good.
Good evening. Welcome to this meeting for Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby,
Here.
Mr. Haynes.
Here.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Here.
Mrs. Saxon,
Here.
and Mr. Vaca.
Here. Finalization of the agenda.
The agenda is final as presented.
Thank you so much. Move right into the superintendent treasurer's report.
Okay, I'd like to introduce, or rather call up Mr. David Fritz, Assistant Superintendent, who is going to share some information with us about the future of the high school commencement.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me back. And I appreciate really not having to follow Mr. Bueller, quite honestly. Any of the new things. I appreciate you having me on a night to where he's not presenting to us. So, as Superintendent Caserio said, I did want to spend a little bit of time talking up and giving a commencement update. So, commencement is one of those issues that seems to percolate every year, and we have some discussions about it, and then it kind of goes away, and then the following year we have those same discussions. So, this year going to look just a little bit differently. So, just because I know we have some new folks on the board, and for the last couple of years we've had the same venue for that, but brief history of time as far as commencement goes. We originally held commencement at LCC Soccer Center. We moved away from that a handful of years ago. That really, as our class sizes got bigger, the venue became too small. So Soccer Center itself seats about 1,000 people. So we were at a place to where we were giving out 3 tickets per kid to come in and actually a family seat. And then the rest of them were out in the lobby watching on television. So we knew that that wasn't a good option for us. Last handful of years, we have done Wolstein Center on the campus of CSU. And that every year seems to come back with mixed results. So I'll talk about that one here in just a minute. One of the other challenges we've run through with Wolstein is just if you watch the news, every year is the last year that Wolstein is going to be in place. It seems like CSU every year has a different plan for that. So that causes a little bit of angst for us. In COVID, we spent a year in the community gym where Superintendent Caserio literally greeted every single kid individually. They had their own 5-minute ceremony. We followed that up the following year with Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which told us, as they said, this is a great venue. It was an amazing venue. But when they have to decide between doing commencement or doing a KISS concert, we know which one's going to win out. And then for the last couple of years, we went back to Wolstein for CSU. So it's been a bit of a jumble the last handful of years, without really truly that one consistent home. So every year we get from Wolstein, we have a number of challenges with, and they've been a great host to us. The first one is location. Probably the number one complaint we hear from families after commencement is the drive downtown, the parking downtown, the having to leave at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock commencement. And then the biggest one after that is then getting out of the parking garage to get back home, from which we hear, taking an hour and a half to get out of the garage. We bus all of our students there, which is a challenge for us. We provide parking passes to our families, but again, that is a concern for them every year. They get a parking pass per family. If you've got parents coming from multiple different homes, those individuals are still finding parking, still paying for parking. We have a cost factor obviously involved. Cost to put commencement on is about $13,000 if we're at Wolstein. That includes the rental fees, it includes renting, the help, security, and all of that. And then, as those of you who have graduated from there know, your view of your graduates is not the best. So you are in a arena, for lack of a better term. Your students don't face you. Depending on where you're sitting, you're either getting the side or the back of your child as they sit there. We currently don't have a streaming option, and as we said, every year is a new year with Wolstein, CSU, and that uncertainty piece has been a challenge. So, Mr. Mueller has kind of spearheaded an effort over the last couple of years to look at some options for us. The option that we're going to present tonight would be looking at potentially doing a stadium graduation. So when you look at our conference, everybody in our conference graduates at their stadium with the exception of North Ridgeville and Amherst. So this is not a unique way out there idea. So we believe it probably provides a better convenience for our families and our students. One of the things about commencement is our students have a great ceremony and then they're hugging and saying goodbye to their friends that they've known for all this time. in the basement hallway of a concrete building. There's not a connection to the stadium, there's not a connection to the district, to the schools, any of that. And I think that's a challenge for our students. Provide the cost savings, so we have done some preliminary work looking at what buying a stage would cost, because then we can repurpose that stage and use it in our music groups, actually. So we have performing groups that use a stage. We could potentially look to do that and save money both on long-term commencement, but then provide some of those things just in a nature that we would have to have anyway. So one of the things that the choirs have asked for in the new buildings is a stage for HAN. So this would actually provide a set opportunity. Gives Mr. Brown and us the opportunity to string this out to the big wide world for those people that aren't able to join us. Provide a better view of our graduates. We believe we can actually see them facing our families. So that they can have a view of both what's happening on stage and our families as well for those photo opportunities. It provides us an opportunity for additional group interaction. So whether that is our choir, whether those are our bands, our key club serving as ushers or ticket takers, whatever that happens to be, it allows us to keep those things to provide opportunities for our kids, but also allows our own staff to benefit from that, because if we're setting up a stage and we're looking at providing overtime for our own workers versus paying for somebody who's off-site for that same type of work. And then it really provides the opportunity for it truly to be a community event. So we think there are a lot of perks there. We recognize that there are challenges there as well. The biggest challenge is going to be, of course, what happens with the weather. So if we flip to that next option, what we would look to do is actually provide a primary weather date or primary graduation date in a couple of secondary weather dates. We should know a couple of days ahead of time which of those is going to work. And then worst case scenario, we could move into one of the airport hangars downstairs. Open up all the community gyms. We can see about the same number of people that we'd be able to sit outside of the whole picture. So that one would not be our preferred option, but we also know that seldom are we getting complete washouts at the end of May. We might have a day or two to where, we can't make it work, but this would at least provide us that option. If we get out ahead of this, let families know now, then we know what we're working with. So we did survey students, families, staff to see where they kind of fell out. Staff, you can see, is in the blue there when asked where you'd like graduation to be. Staff at that point is about 75% or so, keeping it local and having it outside. You're going to see a similar survey from the families. The families higher than that, they're pushing about 86% or so, keeping it local, not making that trip. And then when we look at our students, they are right at 74 or so percent. So overwhelming numbers from each of these three groups that have really truly impacted on where to hold this event. So went out last week and took an amazing photo to kind of give you an idea. We thought we'd move the soccer goal, but if any of you are married to the soccer goal being there on the field, I'm sure we could work that in, whether it's balloons or something else. But what you're looking at is actually from upstairs in the press box. Dark blue there is where we would look to put the stage. Students would be in those lighter blue colors, again, facing families, to where it's simply a matter of turning and looking over a shoulder to see what's happening on the stage. Staff would be down in that yellow, and then what we look to do would be to actually process the students along the track. So no matter where you're sitting there on that home side, you've got a great view of your kid coming or going or sitting there as well. So we've put some thought into this plan. It is not a final plan, but I think it puts us in a pretty good spot as we look ahead to late May. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And what's the total seating on the home side? versus-
2,500.
And wouldn't that be a little short?
On the home side, because students and staff and all that would not be sitting in bleachers themselves, you're looking at about 7 to 8 seats per person, per graduate. Okay. So
Do like cost savings on it, as far as like how much we were paying at Woolstead and what we potentially save?
yeah, so we know that we're at 13-ish on the Wolstein side. We anticipate, we asked for the quote, we're receiving the quote probably this week on what the stage is going to cost, so that's going to be a one-time fee. I would anticipate this first year we will probably break even, and then after that we will be money way ahead.
Gotcha.
So Mrs. Hignite at high school is looking into decorations and things like that. She's got some interesting concepts on how to decorate, and kind of have the parents cover that cost. So those things are being worked out. Again, I think we'll be cost neutral this first year. I think we're money ahead after this year.
I definitely think this is about you. Because I have two kids that went through. Lizzie went with Roxanne, she 2020 grad.
Yep.
much better Wolstein for visually impaired. Cause you had the two screens up there, so we thought it was gonna be strange, whatever. Couldn't really see.
Got
And it was like, that moment was taken.
Yeah.
At least with this, you'd be able to like get into position. We could set up, the equipment we need for visually impaired. And they can see what's going on. But this is definitely 100%.
For sure. Thank you.
How will the crowd control be handled in the stands? Because that's an issue for handicapped folks that are sitting. And, will those be reserved for handicap? And then who will be monitoring people standing along the fence? So it's
Sure.
not, a big party
Yeah.
atmosphere.
No, absolutely. Some of those details we'll need to work out. One of the advantages, at least of the handicap piece, is we've got the separate entrance at the north end of the stadium here,
Mhm.
where we can have people park much closer than what they're currently
Right.
parking
Oh,
now to
absolutely.
get into the building itself. So those will be some of the things that once we know where this is the direction that we're heading, we'll be able to, start thinking about what does security look like, who's taking tickets, who's monitoring, all of that stuff. So
Okay,
those will be a little further down the road, but I'm sure I can report back to you.
yeah, because other than that first,
Yeah, yep,
there's not a ton of handicap seating, so if they can't make it, if there's nothing left in that, maybe some chairs can be added or something. I'm just concerned that, elderly grandparents may.
And we've
miss
also
out.
got the ability, and we've looked at it, you've got some space on the track itself between the track ends, where the
Right.
bleachers start, that you could potentially look to do something with. So,
I have to say, I don't, it's not in the scope of this probably, but I wish those two ramps tied together and that space you're talking about was actually elevated. So that people could walk in front and not block those folks. But that, I
Yeah.
know that goes beyond just this conversation.
Exactly, and many band performance missed because
Right. Everybody's walking.
everybody's standing right there, so, yeah, that's, yeah,
I agree.
that's something I wish we had, but also, as far as like, I know in the past, people could purchase extra tickets if they needed. How
We'd
do
look
we
to do
handle
something
that
similar, yeah.
if we don't have the space?
So we would look to do something similar. When I talked to Mr. Mueller, he says that most of the kids, generally, you're looking at about 4 to 5 seats per student is what they actually end up using. So they would ask for anybody to donate their extra seats back to the high
Okay.
school. But
Okay,
if somebody needed more than that
Right.
number, we would have those.
okay, so just don't hold on, yeah, I mean, I noticed like even this last year, a lot of people, the last day, were like, I need 2 tickets, I
Sure.
need this, and.
Yeah.
Scrambling because it was at Wolfstein to try to connect and give tickets and whatnot.
Our goal would be to handle that in-house and not have people having to search for Facebook Marketplace.
Right, so the stage would then also solve the issue of like girls wearing heels.
Yep, so the discussion that we have already had would be that we would be a flats or wedge district that day. Commencement, but there would be a stage as part of that. But
Okay.
You're still gonna have to traverse out to where the stage is. So
One of the concerns that I know that we heard last year as we started to explore this was the formality of, the entire commencement ceremony. And it's important to me that we keep a sense of formality to what should be a regal type of ceremony, for lack of better terms, for these kids, and families. And so, I think that the intention would be to continue with the formal caps and gowns with staff, of course, our students, and almost just shift the location, but not necessarily the way in which we present the class of 2025 and beyond. But rather to keep that still as formal as possible in a different setting. And I know Mr. Mueller has some ideas.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the hope would be to be able to make a decision probably within the next week or so.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Pritt talked about CSU. We finally did hear back from them, and just to not keep them holding a date that we may or may not use would be important. So if anybody has any grave concerns or, major issues, we'll probably want to get back to them sooner rather than later.
Nothing that we need to vote on, but is there anybody sitting here that's opposed to this idea, that they couldn't pull this trigger and move on it immediately? Not hearing out the other details.
Let's have it out. Let's do it.
It doesn't need a formal vote, and it's not on the agenda, so we can't vote on it, so I'm just asking for.
No, I mean, if that's the family, the majority of the families and staff would prefer that, and. You know, my concern has always been the formality
Yeah.
and the weather. But we'll be positive,
We just ran out and overheating.
yes,
I want to make sure that we also are willing to go right inside if it ends up being 90 something degrees.
right, yeah, that it's well thought out with that, I mean, I think we've always had. The majority of our families understand the type of ceremony it is, and no matter where your venue is, you're always gonna have those outliers. So it doesn't matter if it's here, there. Yeah,
Based on the conversation, I think we're good to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Frick.
Thank you.
thank you.
The announcements, Ms. McCarthy, you have some announcements this evening?
Yeah, I just wanna extend congratulations on behalf of the school board to our athletics. So our cheer team, our competitive cheer team has a national bid to go to Florida. I think this might be the first time. I don't know that for sure. But I mean, you can say I said it. And then we also want to congratulate our men's soccer team and wish them well as they compete tomorrow evening, Division II Final Four match against New Albany. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, the 6th at 7. And then our football team is continuing in the playoffs. This Friday, I'm told they're playing at home against Wadsworth at 7 p.m. So congratulations to all of our sports teams and those that are competing beyond their season into the playoffs. And we're really proud of your dedication.
And our marching band.
What's our marching band doing?
Our marching band be able to perform.
Oh, yes, of course. They were like, I thought they were competing in something, but
Oh,
yeah, no, I mean,
it's a
when you
great
extend
opportunity.
when you extend the football season, you extend
many
obviously for marching band and color
Cheerleaders,
guard and
everybody.
cheerleaders and yeah. So it's very exciting time.
And our very own Chuck Grant, Coach Grant, was named the women's tennis coach of the year for WC.
Very nice.
Wow,
So
that's
we're
great.
very done.
Good things happening.
All right, there's no need for hearing of the public, there is nobody in attendance this evening, so. Consent agenda, Ms. Saxon?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the supervised overnight field trip for North Ridgeville High School boys basketball players to travel to Norwayne High School located in Preston, Ohio, for a basketball scrimmage. This trip is set for November 22nd through November 23rd, 2024. This is the first reading for this item. The second reading and consideration for approval will be at the November 19th regular meeting.
Thank you. Communications report, Mr. Grigsby?
Mr. Baca, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following gifts with appreciation. The E ECLC PTA donated $1,087.50 for daily school folders for all ECLC students and $273 to provide a trail mix breakfast for all ECLC staff. Keely Haas donated student file folders to the NRAC office. The RHPTO donated water and snacks for the RHTA nurse's office. Dana Maka, I won't against it, right? Donated 2 kilns and accessories to the high school art department. Liberty PTO donated pants and socks for the school nurse for Liberty Elementary students. And the next 7 items that are donated are going towards the Able Not Label Monster Mash Dance, because I can't imagine saying that over and over. The North Vigil Police Association donated $250. Lock Salon donated $50. Crumpler Cookie donated 100 cookies. Stella Mia donated 2 trays of pasta and meatballs. Chet's Chicken donated 200 chicken tenders and 200 JoJo's. And Between the Bun donated 55 burgers. And Roger Fleming and family donated $200 towards, again, the Able Not Label Monster Mash Dance. NRAC 5 to 8 boosters donated $1,000 to support the NRAC PBIS program. The NRAC PTO snacks for the third graders for state testing days at NRAC. The Corn Festival Committee donated $1,000 to support the girls soccer program. The Nelson family donated $422 to the NRHS choir program. Donut Envy donated $120 towards Liberty Title I night. Joe Gaudino donated multiple large food trays for the Able Not Label Monster Mash dance. The Winkle family donated $100 to go towards veteran luncheon. 83 and Chestnut Grill donated chicken tenders and sauces to the 8th grade football team dinner. Bill Ginn donated a gently used Roland electric drum set along with a Casio keyboard and stand to the NRAC band program. North Ridgeville Culvers donated $530 to go towards the NRHS choir program. And the NRCS athletic boosters donated $775 to purchase a boys basketball practice jerseys. And $2,400 to the girls basketball and $1,600 to the track team. Vital Blood donation donated $250 to the NRHS Honor Society program for participating in the pledge drive. And that is a great list. We thank our community for their tremendous support of our schools and students.
Thank you very much. All right, Human Resources Report, Mr. Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Roger. We have a number of items in the Human Resources Report, 5 hourly tutor contracts, 3 NREA supplemental contracts, 3 non-NREA supplemental contracts, 2 certified staff adjustments, 3 certified staff leave of absences, and 3 certified staff resignations. This is the first reading of these items. The second reading and consideration for approval will be at the November 19th regular meeting.
Moving on to other board business with the education report, Ms. Saxa.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my eyes were like. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution declaring November 17th through 23rd, 2024 as Ohio Public Education Appreciation Week, recognizing the essential role of public schools and honoring those who ensure every child receives a quality education. I move to approve the resolution in one reading.
Second?
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Ms. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes,
Mr. Vaca,
Yes. All right. Additional board business with the Human Resources Report, Mr. Haynes.
thank you, Mr. Roger. We have several items to consider under the Human Resources Report. 1 certified staff leave replacement contract, 2 certified building substitute contracts, 1 support staff leave replacement contract, 2 support staff substitute contracts, 5 support staff adjustments, 1 support staff resignation. I move to approve the Human Resources items in one reading.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Haynes, second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes,
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
and Mr. Vaca.
Yes. It is recommended that Board of Education adjourn this regular meeting.
second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Haynes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Polls are open till 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
Go vote.